The course of our planet's life has been tumultuous, but as it changed into a blue marble, it may have developed a cycle of temperature, supposedly oscillating by dozens of degrees every 1500 years. Whether the climate cycle is currently in a warming phase, or the synthetic alteration of the atmosphere's composition by humans is to blame, is unknown. We will attempt to come to a conclusion based on cold, hard facts.
In 2011, CO2 accounted for about 84% of all U.S. greenhouse gas emissions from human activities. The main activity that emits CO2 is the combustion of fossil fuels for electricity, industry, and transportation. Electricity accounts for 38%, transportation accounts for 31%, and industry accounts for 14%.
According to the people at National Geographic, the average temperatures have climbed 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit since 1880 and has climbed faster in recent decades. For instance, the last 2 decades have been the hottest in 400 years. The Arctic polar ice cap has been feeling the most of the effects of global warming. Average temperatures in Alaska, western Canada, and eastern Russia have risen at twice the global average. The Arctic is rapidly disappearing and is said to have a totally ice-free summer by the year 2040 or sooner. We know the facts, but how can we be so sure there is global warming? As you can see, the trends of global warming are all over us, and if you look closely, you can see that the burning of fossil fuels and the amount of fossil fuel carbon, aka CO2, is the most common trend and has a greater effect on nearly everything on Earth.
Our spewing of CO2 began during the Industrial Revolution. Back then, we had no idea what we were doing to the planet. America and England contributed to global CO2 emissions estimated around 3 to 7 million tons a year. By the time the revolution ended, it rose to 54 million tons a year by 1850. Since then, our spewing has become a real problem, societal norms notwithstanding. But there's a theory, granted a reputable and possibly more substantial theory, that postulates none of the anthropogenic CO2 production has anything to do with our global warming trend. Global warming could be caused not by the greenhouse effect, but by a sunspot cycle that alternates the amount of radiation reaching Earth, thereby changing the climate, usually on the order of several degrees. What evidence is there? Tree rings, pollen, coral, glaciers, boreholes, stalagmites, tree lines, sea sediments. 600 cycles have been identified in the last million years. So, can it really be possible to blame all of the current global warming on sunspot cycles? Probably. The truth is, we don't know what's causing global warming. Reliable temperature measurements only go back so far.
In conclusion, ever since the development of Earth's climate cycle, natural cycles have altered global mean temperatures, which have drastically changed global climate.
It is difficult to conclude that the current warming trend is caused by this natural cycle. It is also difficult to conclude that this temperature increase is caused by excessive CO2 emissions into the atmosphere by anthropogenic sources. However, one thing is certain, that the likely scenario is that it is a combination.
The 1500-year climate cycle shows that the Earth is currently in a warming trend. However, there is also evidence that proves anthropogenic sources also contribute, if not are solely responsible for the trend. So, before you look disdainfully at those giant gas-guzzling SUVs, hi, Jason. Just know that it may not be entirely its fault.